So when you're with the UN, are you working for the UN or or is that part of the US? Like, how does that work?
You're part of the UN as far as, taxes and everything. I guess when I worked there, I was kind of considered an international civil servant. And so I was part of that kind of system. But, when you travel, you get your own little light blue passport. It's called like a UN LP, laissez-passer, and then it's a little different when you travel. Yes, as a UN, staff member.
So, but are you an employee of the US government or the UN, I guess, or
The UN.
UN? Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So
yeah,
you
they
said
paid out all of the, all of my taxes and stuff from my government, which they do for all the employees. So you're technically considered, I guess, working for an international government or organization.
So you said when you went to leave there, you applied to a couple of different places. Where did you ultimately end up going from there?
Ultimately, I had a hard time. I think I don't know if anybody could relate, but coming back, from a war zone and kind of assimilating back into normal life again was a little bit of a struggle. I really feel for all of our veterans out there and all of our young guys that do this and don't have the resources they have when they come home to just kind of settle back in. So I had a little bit of an assimilation period where I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. I thought I would probably just go back into the field because it almost seemed easier than, adjusting to life as I knew it. So it took me some time. I was kind of on like a 1-year sabbatical. So I had an option maybe if I wanted to go back, it was still on the table. But to tell you the truth, I had no idea what I was going to do. And my friend said, I'm going to Maui for a vacation. Why don't you just come, think about things? I'd never been to Hawaii before. And so I went, and then we stayed a week. Then it was time to leave, and I was like, I'm not going to get on that plane. I think I'm going to stay here. Everybody thought I was crazy. They were like, okay, something happened to you. Like, what are you doing? I was like, you know what? I just, I was having that identity crisis. Like, who am I if I don't work for the UN? Who am I if I'm not, in this setting, this global setting, And I struggled with that.
You just went on vacation and decided and just said I'm staying. Never left.
And never left. Yes,
that's awesome.
It's true.
Huh.
But,
so that was your trip to Maui? Like you were just like, I'm just gonna stay?
Yeah.
So so you only bought a one-way ticket, not knowing?
No, I did have a two-way ticket, but I went back and a couple weeks later. So I just delayed my ticket, went back, got a car, and then came back. And yeah.
Did you have friends to stay with, or?
The friend that I went with had family here, and so her cousin lived here. So yeah, I was I think 34, and I was staying with two 21-year-olds. It was kind of hilarious. I was in this loft that they had in their house, and it could have been more of a comic relief. I tell you, those girls just kind of, really brought me back to, what life is in this country sometimes. But I didn't really know too many people here, and I just started over, and I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but I had to work. I still have student loans to pay, so I just kind of said I'll take any. Maui's kind of a different place. It's very transient as well, and so job opportunities are a little bit slim sometimes. But as far as working for an international organization, how is that going to translate on this small island, right? So it took me a few years before I got the job that I have now, and now I work for the Alzheimer's Association, which is a national nonprofit that's working with family and people living with Alzheimer's and dementia. So
you've actually been in Maui for 2 years?
For 5, going on 5 years. Yeah.
So what was it about Maui? Was it just the weather, the atmosphere,
huli
culture?
Chicken?
So many things. It's just, I think, there's so many beautiful places in the world. There's so many, paradises out there. But for me, this is kind of like a paradise, and it was in our country, and I really wanted to be a little bit closer to home. But there's really something about the nature here. They call it like there's a strong mana or a spirit here. You just feel something so strong about whether it's the ocean or the mountains or there's a volcano, or there's just something really healing, I think, about this place, and that's kind of why I stuck around.
I've never been to Maui. I've been to Oahu 3 times, and every time I start looking for places to move back but my wife moved back and I'll stay, and then we look. You're right, like the people there, the culture, it's just it's definitely a different feel, and I'm sure Maui is very similar to Oahu. So, but yeah, I can
it's
see
amazing that this is in our country. It's just it's a really cool place.
So Florida versus Hawaii, right? I mean, you've lived in both. What is the major difference besides the mountains, right? What is the one thing that would make you want to stay in Hawaii versus Florida?
That's a really tough question, y'all. I love my home state, Florida. Okay, I just have to say it's
less humidity.
It's great.
Less humidity. The trade winds keeps it down.
Maybe I think it might be not to get all political, but people in Hawaii it's a little bit more of a bluer state. People are a little bit more open-minded. Not saying that everybody in Florida isn't, but just overall, I think there's just a little bit of a different mindset, and it's more of a melting pot here in some ways, a mix of cultures, really, a little bit.
Okay.
But it's really hard to compare the two. I love them both.
So,
all right.
Favorite Hawaiian dish or food? What do you go with?
That's a tough one.
Is huli huli chicken all it's cracked up to be?
It is. Yeah. That is
okay.
a really good one. Yeah.
I
There's
really
a lot of
want to
options,
try it.
so I'm curious. I've had a lot of the different Hawaiian dishes, and some things I like and some things I do not like. Have you gotten acclimated to Spam?
A little bit.
Yeah.
We do. It's like wrapped in seaweed and the rice.
I make it here.
Spam.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeremy made it for me.
No, my version's not good.
Not good. It's not good.
Yeah. Look,
Any 7-Eleven
when I go to Hawaii, I'll try it.
Yeah.
When I go to Hawaii, I'm gonna try it because I'll always do whatever is in that wherever I travel. Like I'll be like, yeah, I'm just gonna give it a shot.
Do you like lau lau?
I do. I'm a big poke eater.
I can't do it.
What is that?
But the lau lau though, lau lau's like wrapped in like it's very strong green. This flavor.
What is it?
What is that?
It can be different things in it, but basically
pork or fish.
Yeah, and they wrap it in the leaves. I forget which one. I think it's just but the leaves are so strong that it takes over. To me, it just takes over.
So is it boiled? What is it?
Yeah, you can steam it. I think you wrap it and then steam it.
People cook it, a lot of different ways. But the poke is just ahi tuna, like sushi grade tuna.
But it's better there. It's definitely better there.
It's really good. So I eat a lot of that.
Okay.
Not to go off on a foodie realm.
I think of poke personally, and I probably have a really terrible way of looking at it, but it's like the lazy man sushi, because you just kind of throw it together in a bowl, right? Am I wrong in thinking this?
Yeah, I think you're wrong, but it's all right.
Larry, I don't think you're wrong.
No, you don't eat sushi, Corey, so you don't like either one.
Yeah.
So he can't. He doesn't get to have a vote.
There you go. I don't need to roll this up.
That's a funny way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, if I was making sushi, I would go the poke style. So.
Yeah. Because is it still sushi rice or is it not sushi rice?
It should be rice. Yeah.
But is it the same rice that they use like in sushi, or is it a different style of rice?
I think sushi rice is a little different, but the poke bowls you can get with white or
It's a stickier rice.
Oh, maybe I would like it then, because I don't like sushi rice. That's what I don't like about it.
Oh, okay.
I don't like the fish
places
either.
In Florida?
Yeah, I was gonna say
there's a couple.
Yeah.